What color is Cyborg blood supposed to be? How many bodies does Alita actually have? What exactly are those blue flames? Keep watching for the Alita Battle Angel details only real fans notice. One of the most memorable and exciting parts of Alita Battle Angel is the high-octane spectacle that is Motorball. There are 2 matches in the film, a skirmish on the streets of Iron City and a professional tryout in a supersized stadium. Despite these 2 sequences being decidedly different in terms of the tone, stakes, and even the visual presentation, both of them utilize real-world camera physics. Even though the limitations of real-world cameras don't apply when creating an action scene with CGI, director Robert Rodriguez chose to self-impose those limitations to create a more grounded sequence. In an interview with Inverse, he described his methodology for crafting the scene with a sense of realism, as he revealed, "I don't want the cameras flying around the place, doing things impossible to shoot. I wanted the physics of real cameras placement you would see in NASCAR, long lenses capturing things whizzing by, as well as cameras on the track with the players to keep it as real-world as possible." Pulling inspiration from the shooting style of real-world sports and sticking only to shots that would be possible with a physical camera, ultimately grounded the bombastic action with a sense of reality. The character of Alita starts out the film as a total amnesiac. While struggling to recall details from her past, she finds herself stumbling into some dangerous situations. Luckily, she possesses an instinctive fighting technique that kicks in when she's threatened. This combat style is known as Panzerkunst, a German term which translates into English as armor art. Panzerkunst comes directly from the manga series that inspired the film. Within the series lore, Panzerkunst originated on Mars as a martial arts style for use in zero-gravity combat. In real life, Panzerkunst refers to the art of defeating armored opponents in combat, which is fitting considering that the majority of combatants in Alita are heavily armored cyborgs. The first descriptions of real-life Panzerkunst in sword fighting are believed to come from a German fencing manual from the 1440s. This instructional guide offered insights into fighting techniques to be used against both armored and unarmored opponents in a variety of combat situations. Though the manual was primarily focused on fencing, there were also techniques described for other weaponry and also unarmed combat. As Alita typically dispatches her foes with a mixture of martial arts abilities and sword fighting prowess, her fighting style lines up well with this 15th century inspiration. After being brought back into consciousness for the first time in centuries by Dr. Ido, Alita is a blank slate. In her quest for self-discovery, she seeks to learn not only who she is, but also what she believes and what she likes and dislikes. When Hugo learned that Alita has never tasted chocolate before, he sets about remedying that immediately. So after trying it for the first time, Alita declares that she now has a favorite food.
I have a favorite food now. This is my favorite food.
It might look like a simple chocolate bar, but it's actually a chocolate shell packed with a honey peanut butter filling and pecans. We know this because it was made by Robert Rodriguez himself, and he even put together a tutorial explaining how to make your own at home. He used a 3D printer to make a custom chocolate mold in the shape of the Zalem symbol found in the world of Alita, and he even brought homemade snacks to the cast of the film as well. Throughout his career, Rodriguez's love of food has popped up in his work time and time again, as evidenced by his long-running 10-minute cooking school series that often appears in the DVD extras of his movies. This has included making Texas barbecue for Planet Terror, presenting his recipe for breakfast tacos for Sin City, and explaining how to cook puerco pibil for Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Long before the Alita Battle Angel film arrived in theaters, the story was first told in manga form all the way back in 1990. The first run of the manga series ran for 9 volumes that were released over the course of 5 years, and multiple sequel series followed. In English, this manga is known as Battle Angel Alita, though the original Japanese title translates directly as Gun Dream. During an interview with BBC Radio 1, James Cameron described the switch from Battle Angel Alita to Alita Battle Angel as a forward-thinking shift with sequels in mind. He suggested such potential sequel titles as Alita Fallen Angel and Alita Avenging Angel. In the manga and in the 1993 anime adaptation Battle Angel, the main character's name wasn't Alita at all, but rather Gali. The name was changed for the initial English translation, and it stuck around for the big screen version as well. There's another important difference in Alita's namesake that changed between the manga and the film. In the manga, Dr. Ito names Gali after his cat, who recently passed away, while the live-action adaptation ups the ante and has Dr. Ito name Alita after his dead daughter. There are a couple of moments in Alita Battle Angel when little blue flames emerge from Alita's body. Though never explicitly explained in the film, they play an important role later on in the plot and serve an even more important purpose in the manga. In the manga lore, these little flames are an extension of Alita's ability to manipulate plasma. What might look like a flame is actually arc plasma. These plasma powers contribute to Alita's fighting prowess by increasing her speed and magnifying the power of her strikes. When she throws a punch, it isn't just a synthetic fist striking her opponent, but also the destructive power of plasma energy. Toward the end of the film, when she finally gets her hands on the much sought-after Damascus blade, her arc plasma abilities come into play again. You might notice that the blade turns blue and glows in her hand, something it never did while in Zapan's possession. This is due to her arc plasma powers surging through the blade and supercharging it.
Didn't exactly come with a manual, did you?
Alita Battle Angel was released in the United States on February 14, 2019, but James Cameron bought the film rights to the manga all the way back in 2000. He even expressed interest in one day adapting the story as early as 1995, before the release of Titanic. He was ultimately able to buy the adaptation rights directly from the manga's creator for the sum of 1 million yen. Cameron originally planned on directing the film himself, and he considered going into production on Alita instead of 2009's Avatar. Of course, that didn't end up happening. One key reason for holding off on Alita was that he didn't think CGI technology was quite ready to deliver what was needed to do it properly. After the massive financial success and major technological innovations of Avatar, Cameron again toyed around with the idea of directing Alita, but his attachments to the Avatar sequels made that impossible. Enter Robert Rodriguez, a friend of Cameron's for many years who had seen materials from Cameron's earlier false starts with Alita. He asked if the adaptation would ever happen if Cameron was going to be busy with the Avatar franchise for the rest of his career. So Cameron then offered Rodriguez the reins, as Rodriguez told Fandango All Access,
"Because we'd been looking for things to work with together for years.
And this was a perfect opportunity for a collaboration. The blue blood of the cyborgs in Alita might feel reminiscent of other sci-fi properties, such as the inky blue blood of the androids in 2013's The World's End, but the blood in Alita wasn't always blue. In the 1993 anime adaptation Battle Angel, the cyborg blood was instead a bright crimson, and although the manga was inked in black and white, there was a clear emphasis on gore that didn't make it into the 2019 film. In an interview with BBC Radio 1, James Cameron revealed that he couldn't be completely faithful to the manga because of how gory it was, so they softened it for a PG-13 rating. Even with this softening, Alita pushes the limits of PG-13 as there's plenty of biomechanical destruction and dismemberment. The MPAA's ratings board has historically been more lenient when assigning ratings to films with unnaturally colored blood, so tinting the cyborg blood blue helped to avoid an R rating. This isn't the first film directed by Robert Rodriguez to use unnaturally colored blood in a bid to procure a more audience-friendly rating, as 1996's From Dusk Till Dawn featured green blood for the vampires instead of red. That decision was made out of a fear of receiving an NC-17, which worked out in the film's favor as it ultimately secured an R rating. Alita gets her first taste of motorball while playing in a friendly neighborhood skirmish. In contrast to the later stadium motorball match, this first game was intended to be executed with little to no CGI outside of the title character. This requirement incurred a number of additional challenges, the first of which was finding the right talent to fill the roles of the other players who had to play this larger-than-life sport as if it was second nature. So stunt coordinator Garrett Warren brought together the world's top professional inline skaters to execute the scene. In a making-of video, Warren, producer John Landau, and members of the cast and stunt team discuss how the unique challenges of the scene were overcome. Tall drop-in ramps and mechanical winches were used to mimic the speed and momentum achieved by the motorized rollerblades of the film, which don't exist in real life. The special effects of Alita Battle Angel exist at the cutting edge of what's possible with modern filmmaking technology. Having a large budget wasn't all that it took to pull off the impressive visuals, as it also required the best design team and technology available. Rather than scouring the industry for the best in the business, the necessary resources came from a little closer to home. James Cameron had already assembled the perfect design team to work on the Avatar sequels, so when Robert Rodriguez got started on Alita, Cameron lent him the team for a few months to work out the look, feel, and creation of the characters and world. The production also made use of the motion capture and 3D camera technologies previously pioneered by Cameron for both the Avatar sequels and his documentary projects. Cameron wanted a realistic nuts and bolts look to the cyborgs and the world, while Rodriguez pulled from his experiences as a cartoonist to bring a lighter sense of style to the film's look and feel. Ultimately, a happy medium was found with this design team. The only human part of Alita's physiology is her brain, while the rest of her body is synthetic. Even her heart is a pricey centuries-old relic. This means that her body can be swapped out with different cyborg parts tailored to specific tasks. In the film, we see her in two main cyborg bodies. One is a civilian body initially built in part for Dr. Ido's daughter before her death, while the other is a reclaimed berserker body built for combat. There are also a few quick glimpses at another cyborg body in flashbacks.
A warrior's spirit needs a warrior's body.
However, in the manga and anime, Alita has even more cyborg bodies that she can switch between that are best suited to particular activities. Before the motorball match in the film, Dr. Ito insists that Alita wear protective pads on top of her berserker body, but in the manga lore, Alita has a specialized body made just for motorball. This motorball body has less destructive capabilities than her berserker body, but it's much faster and more flexible. If Alita Battle Angel ever winds up getting a sequel, there's a chance we might see more of her specialized cyborg bodies. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.